In part of today's Farm Report, how a farm may transition after the farmer decides to retire is something many producers don't think about until it's almost too late. Jim Sulphur with the University of Minnesota Extension Service Office shares some tips on how to make the transition easier for all.
Some interesting recent survey work done by the University of Wyoming Extension looking at estate transfers, and nearly 30% of the farms that they survey do not have a plan on what will happen after their farms when they retire. And if you look at the average age of farmers, these weren't all 20, 21, 30-year-old farms. These were likely probably 45 to 60-year-old farmers. And so it's a little bit scary when you're in my position thinking about what's going to happen to these farms when there's really no plan in place. And in Extension, we get called into enough situations where there often maybe a parent passed away or something, and it can be really challenging. And so I'm going to encourage everyone today to really have a good estate plan and talk about some of the keys to maybe making a good estate plan or some of the challenges that I see with people that haven't. A lot of this comes from a Journal of Extension article that was done, but it really mimics kind of what we see as I work on some farms. One thing is people tend to procrastinate. I'll get on farms and maybe the owners are in the 50s and 60s and maybe farming with their 30-year-old sons, and there's really not a good plan to transfer that farm. There's some discussion, maybe the son's still working for the dad, but it really is important to get that down in paper, especially if there's a lot of non-off-farm siblings and you really do want to pass on the farm. And a lot of the reasons people do that is they just really don't want to make a decision. I think it's important to discuss this. When you have a plan or you make a plan, and if you've got some of your family members are involved in farming and some aren't, I think it's important for the mom and the dad to really sit down with all the family members. This isn't easy, but really say, this is our plan. This is what we want to do, and have a discussion so it's kind of open. Otherwise, it's hidden and nobody knows, and then that's where a lot of people create hard feelings with that. Another thing is to try and hold on to that farm business as long as you can. Sometimes see that where the parents may be still involved with the farm, and those parents may be in their 70s, and they may have a son or a daughter that have been farming there for many years that are in their 50s that really don't own a lot because they really haven't been willing to give up some control. So try to think about some of these as you move forward. The other biggie I don't really want to forget is think about what could potentially happen with an illness or a death or somebody leaving the business. I know we don't like to think about those, but it's important to be thinking about those and have some kind of buy-sell agreement or a clause in there in what happens in the case of a major emergency like that. This has been Jim Sulphur with the University of Minnesota Extension in St. Cloud.
Local farm reports at 6:35 a.m. and 4 p.m. on AM 960 KLTF and 10 a.m. on Q92 WYRQ. This is Farm Director Scott Colomb saying thanks for listening and have a great 4th of July.